What if one of the craziest conspiracy theories in American history was actually true? Not aliens, not secret shadow governments, mind control.
I was given a glass of Kool-Aid, and so were the other children. This Kool-Aid was spiked with LSD.
Because in the 1950s, the CIA secretly drugged unsuspecting Americans with LSD, ran bizarre psychological experiments, used hidden safe houses, and in one case, a man ended up dead. This sounds like internet fiction. It isn't, because unlike most conspiracy theories, this one came with declassified documents, and what they reveal is disturbing. 1953, the Cold War is in full swing. America is terrified. The Soviet Union is enemy number one. Communism feels like an infection spreading. And after the Korean War, rumors spread that American POWs have been psychologically broken. Some appear cooperative. Some make strange confessions. Some intelligent officials become convinced America's enemies may have discovered something terrifying. A way to control the human mind. And once that idea entered Washington, everything changed. Because fear makes governments do dangerous things. And the CIA asked a terrifying question. If our enemies can control minds, why can't we? That question became MKUltra, a classified program so disturbing the CIA later destroyed much of the evidence, but not enough. And if you think this was just some weird drug experiment, it gets darker. Every nightmare has an architect. For MKUltra, that man was Sidney Gottlieb, a CIA chemist, soft-spoken, unassuming, the kind of man you never notice, which somehow makes this worse, because under Gottlieb, the CIA pursued experiments involving LSD, hypnosis, sleep deprivation, psychological manipulation, sensory overload, sensory deprivation, attempts to break resistance, attempts to manipulate memory, attempts to influence behavior. This wasn't some rogue experiment. This was an official intelligence program. And while some experiments involved volunteers, others did not. Imagine living a normal day, having a drink, taking medication, or joining what you think is harmless research, only to discover your government may have secretly altered your mind. That happened, and then the CIA got even bolder. This next part sounds fake. It isn't. Operation Midnight Climax. Yes, that was the real name. The CIA reportedly created secret safe houses. Some were set up to resemble brothel-like apartments. Women working with the operation would lure unsuspecting men inside. Drinks, conversation, comfort, then drugs, LSD in some cases. And while those men experienced reality collapsing around them, CIA personnel allegedly watched from behind one-way mirrors, taking notes, observing reactions, studying behavior. Think about how insane that sounds. A U.S. intelligence agency secretly drugging citizens and watching psychological breakdowns unfold. That's not internet fiction. That's documented history. Yeah, that actually happened. And somehow, that's not even the darkest part. because one man may have paid with his life. His name was Frank Olson, and his story is where MKUltra stops feeling like disturbing history and starts feeling like a thriller. Olson wasn't some random civilian. He was a government scientist connected to sensitive biological warfare research. In 1953, he attended a CIA retreat. What happened there would change everything. Without his knowledge, he was secretly given LSD. No warning, no informed consent, nothing. Imagine trusting the people around you, only to discover they alter your mind. Reports say Olson changed afterwards. He became distressed, paranoid, agitated, emotionally unstable. Then, just days later, Frank Olson fell from a 10th-story hotel window in New York City. Official explanation? Suicide. Case closed, except not everyone believed that, because the timeline raises disturbing questions. Was he mentally unraveling from the drug? Was he considered a liability? Did he know something dangerous? Or was this simply a tragic breakdown? Here's what's documented. He was secretly dosed. He died shortly afterwards. How exactly he died, still debated. And honestly, none of the explanations are comforting. And if you think Frank Olson was the darkest thing connected to MKUltra, you haven't seen what happens next. By now, you're probably asking the same question I did. How big was this? The honest answer? We may never know. Because MKUltra wasn't one experiment, it was reportedly a network of sub-projects. Different institutions, different researchers, different methods. Drug experimentation, behavioral modification, hypnosis, interrogation techniques, sleep disruption, sensory deprivation, stress testing, attempts to understand obedience, attempts to understand fear, attempts to understand how human resistance breaks. And the most unsettling part, some institutions may not have fully understood who was funding the work, which means the network could have been far larger than we realized. But before investigators could fully piece it together, the CIA destroyed the evidence. If this program was ethical, why erase it? That's the question that haunts MKUltra. Because in the early 1970s, as scrutiny over intelligence abuse increased, CIA Director Richard Helms reportedly ordered the destruction of the MKUltra records. Thousands of documents gone, burned, destroyed, gone forever. Think about what that means. The full truth may literally no longer exist. How many victims? Unknown. How many experiments? Unclear. What crossed the line even further? We may never know. And when governments destroy evidence, people fill the silence with theories. And this is where a lot of people get the story wrong, because the truth is already disturbing enough. Once the public learned MKUltra was real, the floodgates opened. If they admitted to this, what else happened? That's when the theories exploded. Programmed assassins, celebrity mind control, secret continuation programs, mass psychological manipulation. And here's the important distinction. Some parts of MKUltra are documented history, some remain speculation, some are pure fiction. But that doesn't make the real story smaller, because the documented version is horrifying enough. Reality already did the work. Honestly, the scariest part isn't conspiracy theories. It's what we can actually prove happened. The real danger of MKUltra isn't just what happened, it's what it teaches us. This wasn't cartoon villains trying to rule the world. It was fear, national security obsession, Cold War paranoia, the belief that extreme threats justify extreme actions. And history repeats that logic constantly. Different decade, different technology, same justification. We had to. That's what makes MKUltra timeless, because it forces an uncomfortable question. How far will powerful institutions go if they believe the threat is big enough? MKUltra sounds too insane to be real. Secret drugging, psychological experiments, covert safe houses, destroyed evidence, a suspicious death, government deception, and yet it happened. Not exactly the way Hollywood tells it, not exactly the way internet forums imagined it, but enough of it was real to permanently stain history. And here's what's really keeping the story alive. The records were destroyed, meaning some answers may never exist. So maybe the question isn't, was MKUltra real? Because we already know that answer. Maybe the real question is, if this is what they admitted to, what didn't survive the fire? If this story disturbed you, good. It should. Because history's darkest chapters aren't always written by obvious monsters. Sometimes they're written by people convinced they're protecting you. So what do you think? Did MKUltra end, or did it evolve? Comment below. I generally want to hear what you think. And if you like disturbing true stories, hidden history, and dark rabbit holes, subscribe to Dead Hour HQ, because this one was just the beginning.